All right, guys, I got another short lesson for you today. This is a little more about going in depth on things we talked about before. Kind of just making sure everything's going all right. We keep things going all right and how we can make it better. Um, you will have a small assignment for me today after you watch this. It's not something that'll be difficult or take a long time to do, um, but like it's it's something that's important to make sure we're getting going as a habit now instead of waiting for it later. Um, and like kind of like how I start last class, I'm worried about you guys, making sure you're all right, making sure you're in the right state of mind, and make sure everything's going as smooth as possible, and it's not stressful, and we're getting our work done, and kind of make sure that we can succeed for the rest of the year. And we need to come up with a plan individually to make sure we're doing that. Uh, your assignment will be tonight by midnight. I'm already missing some from last class. I'm kind of sad about that, but I'm going to be sending out another email to parents here soon to make sure you guys are on top of your stuff because we're in full swing. Like you should be going to your classes, taking notes, doing whatever your teacher asks you to do, and especially your work. We talked about how important work is. Um, so I kind of got three separate areas that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about what we can do to kind of make our lives a little better at home, things that are it's more about how do we improve it, and then I'll talk about activities that I think are really beneficial and things to kind of stay away from. Um, I'm reading a lot of this. So you're going to see me look over here because if I don't read it, I'm just going to ramble on and on and on like I'm doing already. So the first one's kind of how do I improve my well-being daily. Uh, so the first thing I want to look at is a couple of things that are helpful to keep you level mind through everything that's going on. Um, I had mentioned this before. Like we're social people. Like this is socialization is something I've done my whole life. Like that's who I am. That's what I've learned in school, and I know how important it is. Um, so I want to make sure we hit on those things again because it's very important. And it's important to think about that during times of lockdown that we're going through and maybe not seeing everybody and even some of your families, probably not seeing all your extended family, grandmas, grandpas, all sorts of things like that. We just need to keep ourselves in the right state of mind and make sure we can cope with when we get thrown back into the real world too. You haven't seen some people in a while, and you're gonna not realize that you're acting different, but you're acting different because you've been either by yourself or just with your family for weeks. Um, so like the first thing is I would highly suggest taking some time out of your day to spend it with people around you, your family, your friend, like whoever's in that household or um, who's around you every day. Uh, it's important. You're all going through this together, and it'll help by interacting everybody. It won't just maybe it's not just helping you, maybe it doesn't help you, but it might help them too. So it's important to think about everybody in this that's around you in this time. And it it's not necessarily just have to be just sit there and have a heart to heart or go do specific things with them. It can be little things. You know, like I do time every day where we watch The Office on Netflix. Like that's our thing. We sit down, we watch 3 4 episodes of The Office, and that's our time that we kind of sit down and mellow out and chill. Like I said, she's not home all the time, so when she is home, we spend time together. Um, it doesn't have to just be watch shows or something like that. It could be instead of just playing your game alone in your room, sit down with your sibling or one of your parents and teach them to play it or play it with them, or maybe they'll teach you a game. Um, there's a lot of things you can do. It could even be things like gossip and news and Instagram or Twitter, like what's going on in the world. Um, it's cool just to share those moments with everybody, and it'll make their life and your life a lot easier once you get back in the swing of things. If everybody's kind of just doing their thing, um, it could be on your phone, it could be on your computer, your tablet, whatever, um, or you can just sit down and talk to them. See what's going on, hear stories about when they were kids, if it's your parents or things your siblings are going through or had fun doing, or sports, or all sorts of things like that. It'll help when things get back to normal. It's it's important to keep that like skill. It's an important skill to be able to talk to people, interact with people. Another thing that I really like think that everybody should explore in some manner is exercise, whether you like it or not. You can hate exercise to death, but you, you don't realize how important it is. Like I myself take a daily walk for anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how far we go, depending on how far my girlfriend wants to walk. Whether I like it or not, you get exercise in school and you don't realize it. Like you're walking in between class periods. Our hallways aren't short. You have PE, you have all sorts of things, life saving, like whatever you're in. Like you have times when you exercise at school and you don't realize it. And it's important just to keep your mind in the right spot too. It's stimulating, and it just keeps you all around healthier. Like it's really important. It doesn't necessarily have to be hard. Like I said, I just take a walk down the street. Like I live close to the park. We can walk to the edge of the park and then we walk back. Maybe we'll take a walk around the neighborhood for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just to get your legs and your body moving and get in some kind of shape. It's good. It's good for you. If you got a treadmill, walk on the treadmill for a little bit. If you want to do push-ups and sit-ups, lift some kind of weights. That's cool too. I've done some yoga. Like I've done everything. Just you want to keep your body in a form that's good, and it'll make you feel better. It's it's good for you, but some of you just don't want to do it, and I understand that because I don't want to do it all the time either. But I know it's a good thing to do, and you can get creative with it. If it's some kind of game that you're playing, if it's something you're doing with your family, that's cool too. Like just get up, get moving. Don't have to do it every day. A couple times a week. That's cool too. Like just as long as there's some time you're spent up and moving around and not sitting down all day or locked in your room. The last point's the biggest thing that I'm guilty of too. Watch what you eat. Okay, I got into a really bad habit of not wanting to make food. I didn't want to go out to the store and find the food and cook, so I got in the habit of ordering fast food or from a nice restaurant here and there, blah blah blah. And yes, it's nice to have it brought to me and all those things, but besides it being expensive, most of that food's not necessarily that great for you. And this whole thing goes for what you're drinking and what you're snacking on at home too. Um, like I said before, a lot of you aren't up and moving around and are missing the ways you burnt that junk food off in the past. It can be unhealthy and increase like your risks of future problems, and we don't want to get you into bad habits now. It's something that it shouldn't be a problem. Now, some of the things that I think are beneficial, and I already kind of mentioned some of them, so I'm kind of going to go a little faster through this part. Exercising obviously is great. Getting together with people in your household, even while doing it, is awesome. But there's other things you can do just to be stimulated and keep you active mentally, physically, psychologically. I said do something challenging. And I don't want it to necessarily be a normal challenge. Go out of your way to do something different. I got a 1,000-piece puzzle that my mom sent me. She wants us to do, so we're going to do that. Just something that'll keep your brain active. That's important. Because you got to keep your brain in shape. Keeping your brain in shape is just as important as keeping your body in shape. You went from 2 weeks completely off, nothing kind of to do at all, to back into the hardest form of schooling I think there are. Like online's really, really difficult. You got a lot to manage. You got a lot to pay attention to, and it's hard to do. And kind of this feeds off that too, is make sure you're staying in contact with your friends, the people you talk to at school. Um, don't act like they don't exist. They're still around. They're going through the same stuff you are do, or you are too. Um, you're gonna be back around them eventually. You are. It's important to maintain those relationships so your lives can go on once we get done with this. Um, it's it's good just to hear from them too. You kind of talk to the same people every day at this point, like mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever's living with you. You might say a couple things here and there, but you're the only people some of you guys have heard in the last 3 weeks. So reach out to them, talk to them, get a hold of them. Even if you're just playing, you're playing Xbox and they're on your team and you're talking to them through the mic, or even if it's just text, make sure you're keeping those relationships. It's nice to have a kind of a link to something outside of your house or your household. And that kind of goes on to the last point in this section I have is, find something outside of your bubble. Um, you know, I have some examples that might not be the greatest because some of them are kind of on hold right now. Like I said, sports. Watch some sports. There's not a lot of sports right now, obviously, but that's just maybe even reruns. Um, just find something that you're interested in. I said sports, fashion, games, YouTube. Having that link to the outside world makes your house seem a lot less small. Um, and you're already stuck there all the time. So you kind of want to move on from that and move forward. And it's important. It really is to kind of get that link to the rest of the world. News isn't always the greatest because news is super depressing most of the time, but maybe there's a genre of news you like. If it's gossip news or fashion news or Kardashian news, I don't know. Military news, sports news, whatever. Just find a way to make your links to the outside world. And kind of the last section that I want to wrap up with is things you kind of want to stay away from. And they kind of go hand in hand with the things I want you to work on. And the most important one's the isolation part. Don't lock yourself in your room all day. Okay, I know you got your electronics, and I know you got Twitter to look at, Instagram to look at, and all these things. Don't just lock yourself in a room and do that all day. I've said it a ton. You've got to interact with everybody around you, and just being locked in a room all day it's unhealthy. It's not natural. It's the reason we don't live in caves by ourselves anymore. We live in cities and towns, and you gotta be around people. It's great. It's good for your soul. It's good for your body. It's good for everything to kind of be up and moving and talking to people around you and seeing how they're doing and what's going on. And so don't just lock yourself in your room. We need each other now more than ever. And I think it's a struggle for a lot of people, but I also think that it's something that we can work through. And like I said, junk food. I've been so bad at it. I'm glad you can't see my computer table right now. I got bags of Skittles and Starburst and stuff laying around, and it's bad. I've upgraded to eating some peanuts and not drinking as much pop. But the junk food's not good, and binging on it is even worse. Don't just kind of casually sit and snack all day. Try to keep your meals on a somewhat regular schedule. I know some of you eat lunch at different times at school, blah, blah, blah. Keep it on a decent schedule. It's important. And whether you liked it or not, you had one decent meal every day at school, like decently healthy, whether you liked the meal or not. The food wasn't terrible for you, even though it didn't taste the greatest. And it's not just about what you're eating, it's about how much you're eating. Don't overeat just because you get bored or you're a little upset, so you eat your feelings. I've bought more ice cream for people in my household in the last 2 weeks than anything else, so I know that we're working on that too. And the last thing's the biggest one. I talked about it last week. I talked about her last week on Monday or Tuesday. I talked about it before we went on break, like that week before break, and then I'm going to keep telling you and telling you and telling you. Don't get behind in your work. That's the biggest thing to avoid. A lot of you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing now. So I need you to get on top of that. I'm going to send out another email. Kind of remind your the people in your household that you have work to do and you need to be doing it, because the farther you get behind, the more stressful it's going to be. And the more stress, falling behind is trying to get caught up, trying to get hold of the teacher to see what you need, and all these other things that it's going to cause a lot more stress at home, and you don't want that atmosphere to be negative. So the last thing you need in this negative time is your household not to be caring and comforting and kind of a safe space. So you kind of need that. You need to get on top of your stuff. So for kind of the homework portion of this, it's actually really easy. It's going to be easier than even the last assignment. I want you to make, it's one list, but kind of two lists at the same time. It's kind of side by side. I want you to first list out all the bad things, kind of the bad habits you got into. Like for me, it would be junk food, kind of being lazy, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with the girlfriend at first, but I'm kind of getting back into that. Like I said, we started watching The Office, but the first week of spring break, I don't think I even talked to her but a couple times that week, which is not good. Not good for a relationship. Okay, so the bad things, either if it's eating, isolating yourself, so on and so on. And the second thing on the other side of it, I want you to just type out a list of things that you're willing to do to improve your daily living. And that could be go for a walk. It could be, sit down and talk with your parents for 20 minutes. It could be anything that we've talked about, or things you can think of that will make your life feel a little better at home when you're kind of locked down and you don't have anything to do. So all you do, make those two lists side by side. If it's on a document, it's on a document. If it's in Notability, it's in Notability. That's fine, and upload it, and we'll roll from there. Next week we only have one class. Thinking about making it a video class, but I will send a message if I do. Maybe just say hi, check in, say what's going on, talk for a little bit, and then I'll get you guys out of there. If you got any questions, let me know. I can help you with anything. Like I said, I'm always here. Half the day I'm alone, so I just sit in my room and don't have anything to do. So email me, send me a Canvas message, do whatever you need to do. I'm here. So until next time, peeps. Later.